continues to absorb your rights, and as it absorbs your rights, it doesn't give them back to you. So even though 9/11 happened a decade ago, and believe me, I am very serious about 9/11. My brother Patrick is a lieutenant in the fire department. He went to the towers, he came out. My cousin, Lieutenant Vincent Halloran, went to the towers, he did not come out. So this is not somebody who doesn't understand the dynamic of protection. I worked in the DA's office, I worked in the police department. I've served this city before I went to city council. So I know how important security is. Security can never take the place of our liberties. And the second we're willing to give those liberties up is the second this republic dies. We continue to march onwards towards a democracy. We do not want a democracy. Mob rule is not the answer. The answer is an ordered liberty in a Republican democracy. And that's what we're... Look, the TSA has spent a lot of time trying to explain to you this is non-invasive. You've seen the pictures. You've seen the pat-downs. You've seen the YouTube videos. God bless YouTube, because most people in this country, if they had to rely on the major medias for their news, they would believe that there is absolutely nothing wrong with this process. They would have you believe that your politicians are actually doing their jobs in Washington, at City Hall. They would have you believe that you have all the freedom in the world. Well, you look down at your paycheck, you know that's not the case. You look down each day at the next street ordinance that's come out. The regulations that regulate every component of your life from the moment you get up to the moment you go to sleep. And that's just the beginning of what's coming. Now, this particular ban, this bill was introduced in the council, and council members have now left it, abandoned it. They're not moving forward with it. There's a reason why, because they're receiving a lot of pressure. Pressure from inside City Hall, pressure from upstate in Albany. People don't want to mess with the federal government. Now think about that. Local leadership does not want to mess with the federal government. Our founders envisioned in the 10th and 9th Amendments state sovereignty. They envisioned the fact that we, the people, were more powerful than the government. It's why we have a Second Amendment. I know in New York City we forget about that. We pretend it doesn't exist. We like to say that the Second Amendment is about a militia, but it's not. But it's not. The Second Amendment is about us being more popular, more powerful, more important than the federal government. And that's not the case anymore. It's part of the problem in this whole scheme. Now, we can continue down the path of being sheep, or we can start to make a stand. We can start saying no to a progressively more dictatorial government. And it starts with people like you, on the street, in a park, on a Friday afternoon after work. It starts when you guys say to your elected officials, what are you doing about this issue? And showing up with a petition with 5,000 signatures on it, with 500 people at a council office, or 5,000 people at City Hall to say enough is enough. But it starts in a park, it starts in a place like this. It starts with our younger people, in particular, who are off to college and graduate school, who are going to fight the institutionalized morass that we have in education today. You know, it's not a left or right problem. It's not a conservative and liberal problem. It's about fundamental freedoms. Something that both the left and right claim they believe in. Something that if you talk to the most liberal, he will say that the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all important. The ACLU will trumpet that selection of 10, well, minus the second one. They don't like that one. But other than that, they like all 10 of them. And you talk to the most rabid right-wing person, he's going to tell you, that right-wing person's going to tell you the same thing. I believe in the founders. I believe in the Constitution. That's what's important. Stop misinterpreting the Constitution. Well, both those sides, right and left, are doing the same exact thing. They're abusing the Constitution. They're using it to their own ends, and they're forgetting what it really means. What does it mean? It means ultimately you have rights. The government doesn't have any rights at all. The 10 amendments to the Constitution, called the Bill of Rights, do not set out rights for us. They enshrine rights given to us by the natural order of things. They are endowed by our creators. They are inalienable rights, and something that we keep letting slip away. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't an important issue when it comes to being safe on an airline. But I'll tell you what, you're going to be a hell of a lot more safe if people like you are taking that plane, that train, than they are if we're having the TSA agents doing these pat-downs, because they're not doing their job. And every time the government does something, what does it do? It messes it up further. Have you ever seen the government do anything efficiently in its entire existence? No, absolutely not. The federal government is now taking more policing powers, another grave threat to the Bill of Rights, because the feds are not supposed to have police powers. Police powers are reserved to the state and local governments. The TSA, what it's doing right now is setting a benchmark that other federal agencies will now be able to use to justify a continued pattern of behavior. And that will be more and more encroachments on your person, on your liberty. Look, at the end of the day, we all know we need to keep the airlines safe. We need to be able to fly in a secure environment. There are plenty of passive methods to do that. Radiological, biological, and chemical detectors already exist in those locations. The general pass-through detectors are already there. The metal detectors are already there. There is nothing that stops this government from figuring out the better way to do this, except for one thing. It's not just about these scanners at these airports. It's about further eroding your liberty and making you more and more dependent on the government. And that's what you need to say no to. I'm just going to leave you one more thought as I step off the stage. You know, a lot of people are out there talking about scandals that have broken in the media. A particular congressman from Queens right now has a big problem. That's a big distraction. It's a big distraction from the fact that no one's talking about the debt ceiling that's about to be raised again. No one's talking about a $70 billion New York City budget, okay, that has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. The mayor throws out issues about firehouse closings and teacher layoffs, and we don't talk about the scandals inside the contracts, like City Time, which is 4 times above where it should be spent. Which has had people indicted for padding the books on a computer program designed specifically to protect the integrity of timesheets in New York City, and they padded the books while they were writing the software. I mean, these are the kinds of things we have to do to root out corruption in government, and we can't be distracted by the press, which is going to throw you the latest salacious story. So listen, keep your noses down, pay attention, read the blogs, the alternative medias, pay attention to YouTube. If it's up there, it's probably worth seeing. And don't let the government take away anything more than they've already taken. We have to get the republic back. People like Gary Johnson, potential candidate from the Republican Party. Ron Paul, someone I got to introduce at Webster Hall this year. Last year I introduced his son Rand Paul at Webster Hall, and we're looking forward to seeing him again at as the campaign continues. You guys keep fighting for liberty. This is going to be an ongoing campaign for liberty, and don't let our country or our founding fathers down. Thank you very much.